This is the Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina, named after Queen Charlotte, the wife of England's King George III. Two of America's largest banks dominate the city's skyline, and soon a magnificent football stadium welcomes the NFL's Carolina Panthers. Tonight, we're at Independence Arena, known as the Big I, formerly the Charlotte Coliseum. And this evening, the toughest and most skilled martial artists in the world square off in the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Hello again, everyone. I'm Bruce Beck. Welcome to UFC 5, the Ultimate Martial Arts Competition. Tonight, 8 different fighters from 8 different disciplines. Everything from judo to jeet kune do square off for the tournament title and for a $50,000 first prize. And a new twist to the Ultimate Fighting Championship, the first ever super fight between 3-time defending champion Royce Gracie and Ken Shamrock, who has lost only once in the octagon, and that was to Royce Gracie. Now, let me point out right now, this event is not for the faint of heart. It is brutal competition. There may be some blood spilled. There may be some bones broken. This is real, it's live, it's brutal. Right now, let's go to another member of our broadcast team. He won the gold medal in 1984 at the Los Angeles Olympics in the super heavyweight division in Greco-Roman wrestling. Let's go to Jeff Blatnick in the octagon.
Thank you, Bruce, and welcome, everyone. I'm standing in the area where our fighters will do combat, the octagon. It measures 32 feet across. It is surrounded by a 5-foot-high chain-link fence that is both reinforced and padded for safety. And I am standing on the spot where Dan Severn submitted to Royce Gracie in the finals of UFC 4. But Severn returns here in UFC 5 with a vengeance. But his first bout will be the ghetto man, Joe Charles. He is the person that had the quickest match here in UFC. Severn, a contestant in the longest bout. Interesting matchup. There's also the X Factor, Oleg Tarkatov. He is a Russian. He is a Sambo fighting champion in Russian. He is also an unknown. Both these individuals will try to stop Dan Severn from reaching the finals. Bruce?
Thank you very much, Jeff. And joining us now, a man who has been with us for all 5 UFCs. He is a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Jim Brown. And Jim, by
Bruce,
far, very good. This has got to be the biggest group we've ever seen. 230 pounds on average. What does that translate to?
It might not mean anything. Everything being equal, weight is a factor. I will take quickness and technique. Royce Gracie is not a big man. That is my statement.
Dan Severn is no doubt the favorite in UFC 5, having lost to Royce Gracie in the finals of UFC 4. Your thoughts?
My thoughts is the first fight is going to tell us what he's going to do. He's got the ghetto man, and he fights in a ghetto way.
What about the super fight between Royce Gracie and Ken Shamrock?
Well, Shamrock has been here before. He couldn't do it. Royce has never been defeated in the ring. He has the technique. He has the background. He has the character and the courage. I go with Royce Gracie.
Right now, a closer look at the rules of the octagon. And the rules are very straightforward. There is no biting, no eye gouging, no rounds, but a 20-minute time limit in the quarters and semis, a 30-minute time limit in the finals and the super fight. Here are the ways to win a fight: by knockout, by submission, if the corner throws in a towel, or if the referee stops the contest because a fighter cannot intelligently defend himself. Now let's take a look at the main draw. We open up with Andy the Hammer Anderson against Big John Hess, the giant with an attitude, and we finish the quarterfinals, Jim, with Daniel the Beast Severn and Joe Gettleman Charles.
Yes, I think we're going to have some exciting fights tonight. We have some big guys, as you say. They're quick, and they're all really strong in their technique.
Now, the alternate fights have already transpired this evening. David Beneteau won in 21 seconds over Aspel Cancio. Guy Mezger was victorious over John Dowdy in 2:02. Beneteau will be the first alternate into the competition. Should any victorious fighter in the main draw be unable to continue in the next round due to injury, and therefore Guy Mezger would be the second guy in because he has a strong association with Oleg, the Russian bear, Taktarov, and therefore he does not want to fight him in this competition. The referee for UFC is Big John McCarthy, Orange, California, Los Angeles Police Department. 10 years in the martial arts game, jiu-jitsu competitor. This is his 4th UFC. Here's a look at our doctor, Richard Istrico from Howard Beach, New York. on the advisory council of the WBC, a panel physician with the New York State Athletic Commission, a medical director of the New York Golden Gloves. He's been with USA Boxing in and around the sport for 18 years. The commissioner of the IFC, which is the sanctioning body of this tournament, the International Fighting Council, is the Black Dragon, Ron Van Cleef, a 10th degree black belt in Chinese Gojo Karate. He's a native of Brooklyn, New York, a legend in martial arts, a 9-time U.S. karate champion. We're set for our opening bout of the evening, and right now, let's meet our first competitor. Andy Anderson holds a 5th degree black belt in Taekwondo and is also ranked in Hapkido, Karate, and Aikido. Andy has a record of 86-0 in bare knuckle challenge matches, with all 86 by knockout. Maybe that's why they call him the Hammer.
I'm Andy Anderson from Arlington, Texas. You know, they say there's always somebody bigger, badder, stronger, tougher. Well, I came to the UFC tonight to see if he's here.
Andy Anderson will donate the proceeds if he wins tonight to a school for the blind, the United Cerebral Palsy Fund, or Feed the Children. He is a master 5th degree black belt in Taekwondo.
He's also a very potent striker. Andy Anderson says he has worked on his ground attack for a year, but he says his left hook and left cross are his lethal weapons. And because he's facing a bigger opponent, he says, that doesn't mean I won't go for the knees either.
Well, he says that, right?
That's right.
But I'm a little worried about a bar fight in this kind of competition because it seems like the ones who are great with their technique will always win.
He owns a chain of nightclubs nationwide, including the Totally Nude Steakhouse in Longview, Texas. Andy Anderson's opponent, let's meet him right now. John Hess holds black belts in Kung Fu, Karate, and Jiu-Jitsu, and is a 4th degree master and co-founder of his own fighting system, SAFTA. At 6 feet 7 inches and 295 pounds, it's with good reason they call John the Giant with an attitude.
I'm John Hess. I'm from the SAFTA Fighting Center. I'm here to break people.
It is called SAFTA, Scientific Aggressive Fighting Technology of America. John Hess is 6'7", 295. He has no sanctioned record, folks, but he says he has never lost a fight in his life.
He's an awful big guy, Bruce. I don't know a lot about him. He says his best weapons are kicks. He also claims he's in tremendous shape. You may not believe it by the looks of him, but that is what his credentials state. We will only know once we get him in there and see what he can do. He also has no respect for anyone. In fact, he calls submission silly in the UFC.
Here's a look at the tail of the tape. John Hess, a much bigger fighter overall. Andy Anderson, Taekwondo, Hess, SAFTA. We don't know much about it. 31 years of age, Anderson, 6 years, Hess is senior. Anderson is a big difference shorter, 10 inches to be exact. And the difference in weight, 295 versus 238. John Hess from Encinitas, California. Andy Anderson, Arlington, Texas. We are set to go for our first quarterfinal bout. Let's go up to our ring announcer, Ron Jeremy.
Standing at 5 feet 9 inches tall and weighing in at 238 pounds, he's 31 years old and holds a 5th degree black belt in the Korean art of Taekwondo with rankings in Hapkido, Karate, and Aikido. He has a record of 86-0 in bare knuckle challenge matches with all 86 by knockout. Fighting out of Arlington, Texas, they call him the Hammer, Andy Anderson. He's 25 years old, stands 6 feet 7 inches, and weighs 295 pounds. He holds black belts in Kung Fu, Karate, and Jiu-Jitsu, and is a 4th degree master of SAFTA. Please welcome from Imperial Beach, California, the Giant with an attitude, John Hess.
John Hess also has black belts in Kung Fu, Karate, and Jiu-Jitsu. It is the unknown Big John Hess against the Hammer, Andy Anderson. Opening quarterfinal bout of UFC 5. We're at the Independence Arena, the Big I in Charlotte, North Carolina. It opened in 1955, it closed for 5 years, and reopened in 1993. Third man in the ring, Big John McCarthy, and we are underway. And flying across the ring is Big John Hess. And he scores quickly with strikes. Anderson trying to pick up the big man, and he can't do it.
Oh, this is over. Oh, maybe not.
Great reversal by Anderson. Andy Anderson, the man on the top.
He obviously knows the Gracie guard. He immediately went to it once Andy Anderson got there. John Hess doing a pretty good job of defending. We'll see if Andy Anderson can solve the riddle of the guard.
Mouthpiece is gone from the mouth of John Hess. Andy Anderson still on top. Hammers to the head. A minute in to this bout. And now a reversal by Hess.
I'll tell you, Hess is coming at him. He is living up to the reputation that he's an all-out offensive fighter. He is not giving a break at all to Andy Anderson, and Anderson can't see out of his right eye.
And Hess decks Anderson, knocks him into the side of the octagon, and that is it. Big John McCarthy stepped in and stopped the fight.
Wow. Wow.
Get over there.
What an opening bout.
Get over there. Stay right there.
And you can see that right eye shut right now of Andy Anderson. The winner, John Hess. Referee stopping the contest after Hess had sent Anderson into the side of the octagon, which is a locked gate with the 5-foot walls.
Well, you know, the big guy said he was tough. He came out with nothing but fury. He didn't wait. He gave his opponent no chance. And I don't know the techniques that he used, but it was a lot of elbows, a lot of fists, and he was able to come up from off the ground.
Here's Hess now trying to reestablish himself on top, Jim.
Absolutely. I think in this case, Bruce, you were right. The weight means a lot. He's not real quick. We saw that technique when we saw the pitch of him practicing. He might be a tough opponent tonight.
And here's the finish, Jeff Blatnick. As you see, Hess sends Anderson's head into that wire fence.
Well, he was stomping him pretty good once he went down, but it was those punches when they were on their feet that spelled doom for Andy Anderson. And John Hess lived up to his talk.
Oh, yes, he did. I mean, he's going to be tough for somebody.
It was a minute and 20 seconds. It seemed a lot longer, guys. I'll be honest with you.
Well, I'm sure it seemed a lot longer to Andy Anderson.
That was 100% pure fight. There was hardly any
That's
break.
right.
Hess marched right across, started bombing the punches, and Andy Anderson could not at all withstand that barrage of attack.
But I saw a weakness. If a real grappler got him down, he would have been in trouble.
I think so, too.
Right now, let's move on to our next bout. 24-year-old Todd Medina is the first fighter in the UFC to represent Bruce Lee's system of Jeet Kune Do. Like his friends Kimo and Joseon, Todd says that when he steps into the octagon, all his power will come from the Lord.
Hi, I'm Todd Medina. I'm fighting in the UFC 5 using Jeet Kune Do concepts, Filipino martial arts, and jiu-jitsu. I've trained harder than anyone else for this fight, and you will see it when I step in the octagon.
He is known as El Tiburon, the Shark. Combative fighting systems. Jeet Kune Do, the first fighter to represent Bruce Lee's system of Jeet Kune Do. He was a small kid in Santa Ana, California growing up, the youngest and smallest in his neighborhood, but he always stood up to guys, never backed down, and here he is in his first UFC.
Medina says his best weapons are headbutts and elbows, so we classify him as a striker, and he says his strength is his best athletic quality.
And his opponent for the event hails from New Jersey.
Going to be your area with your trainer, all right?
Larry Curtin is a ranked fighter in Taekwondo, karate, Western boxing, and kickboxing. Of his 26 victories in the ring, 23 were by knockout. Tonight we'll find out just why they call him Thunderfoot.
My name is Larry Thunderfoot Curitin. I'm a professional kickboxer and a professional firefighter at the Jersey City Fire Department. This time I'm taking off the gloves and I'm stepping into the octagon and I'm knocking somebody out.
He's the current FFKA North American Super Heavyweight Kickboxing Champion, the former New Jersey Golden Gloves heavyweight runner-up. He lost in the '85 finals to Richard Brownrigg. He's been a firefighter for 8 years in Jersey City, New Jersey, with Engine Company number 17, Larry Thunderfoot Curitin.
Curitin is also a striker. He likes to kick and punch. He says his straight right hand is his best punch. And like Medina, he has no real ground experience. So we'll probably see another fight that most of the damage is done on the feet, or if it does go to the ground, finished with the strikes.
Medina Jeet Kune Do, Curitin American Kickboxing. Medina comes in 24 years of age. Curitin is 35. A big height advantage for Curitin of 4 inches. Meanwhile, Medina has the weight advantage of 30 pounds. Medina, hailing from Hunting Beach, California, and from the other coast, Larry Curitin, Jersey City, New Jersey. Up to our ring announcer, Ron Jeremy.
A 24-year-old fighter representing the art of Jeet Kune Do, standing at 5 feet 10 inches tall and weighing in at 260 pounds with a record of 5-1 in full contact matches. They call him El Tiburon. From Huntington Beach, California, Todd Medina. Representing American Kickboxing, he's 35 years old with a professional record of 17-5, 15 by knockout, 6 feet 2 inches tall, 230 pounds. Please welcome the firefighter from Jersey City, New Jersey, Larry Thunderfoot Curitin.
Keep in mind the average length of a fight in the UFC is 2 minutes and 22 seconds.
A brisk 2 minutes and 22 seconds.
An exciting 2 minutes and 22 seconds.
Big John McCarthy, he's the ref in his 4th UFC. He has the power to stop the fight.
Let's get it on.
And we're underway. Curitin in the blue, Medina in the black. Medina grabs the leg of Curitin. And down goes Curitin.
This is where a boxer's in trouble. Let's see if Medina knows what to do from the mounted position, but it looks as though Curitin is in the guard. That's the best place to be when you're there, and Curitin actually has a chokehold going.
Curitin from the ground position has the chokehold going. Medina continues to pound away at the solar plexus.
Watch your man.
And we see a lot of the Gracie guard nowadays, guys. Everybody's going to it.
And now trying to break out of there is Curitin.
Oh, some
Medina
headbutts.
with a headbutt. And another. And another.
Hasn't had a chance to use that straight right hand yet. So much of this fight ends up on the ground. No wonder Royce Gracie was so good at this type of fighting.
Look at the feet lock there, employed by Curitin.
And Curitin wants to keep Medina's head as close as possible so that he can't get any real leverage on those punches.
Medina with the right hands to the head of Curitin.
He's better be careful. He could break his hand punching the skull.
Keep working.
Tries another headbutt.
Oh, those will take their toll too.
Keep it working. Go.
Curitin landing a couple of right hands to the left ear of Medina.
Keep it working.
But the Shark continues to work from the mounted position and continues to headbutt.
Smart move. The head is a weapon.
And this is where fatigue starts to become a factor.
It looks as though Curitin might have had enough of that. He's trying to turn out.
Punching to the body again is Medina. A little over 2 minutes into this bout.
Keep working. Keep it working.
How long can Curitin hang in there?
And from this position, it's going to be hard for Medina unless he goes for the groin there to get any effective punch really in. This is a half Nelson in wrestling. It's good for keeping a person on his back. You can see the right hand looks as though it could go after right there, the thigh and the groin. of Curitin. Curitin's in trouble here.
Medina chops away to the midsection.
There's a choke applied by Medina now.
And another headbutt by Medina.
There's a tap out.
There's a tap out. It's over. Medina wins, and Curitin Thunderfoot hung in there for a while. But that is all.
And you got to wonder what Medina's head looks like after he was butting him with his head.
Curitin comes up with a big smile on his face, and there's some tremendous mutual respect, Jim Brown.
There's no doubt about it. I've tried to tell the media that these people have a lot of dignity. They lose with grace. They know they lost. There's no doubt about it. There are no referees and no officials to bring any politics into the ring. I love it this way.
And, Jim, they know when they have to tap out.
And that's why it's safer than a whole lot of other contests that we talk about.
Here's a look at the takedown, Jim. Medina grabbing that leg and not letting go of it.
Well, you see, the grappling comes in, and when you don't know how to grapple, it takes away all your skills. Curitin couldn't do anything down. He didn't really have the technique.
Medina took away the skills of Curitin, which was the ability to punch and kick. Pretty good headbutts by Medina throughout the fight.
Yeah, it's a very dangerous kind of weapon. We haven't really seen that before.
No, we haven't. But Medina using those headbutts to the face of Larry Curitin. 2 minutes 55 seconds, the official time of this bout. Here's the submission as Curitin taps out. And John McCarthy right on top of the action. So Jeet Kune Do, which was Bruce Lee's system, wins out in this quarterfinal match. Right now, let's move along in this quarterfinals, and let's meet our next fighter. Russian fighter Oleg Taktarov comes to the UFC, a hardened competitor with multiple European and world titles in jiu-jitsu, judo, and sambo. Whoever wants to win the UFC tonight is first going to have to beat the Russian Bear.
My name is Oleg Taktarov. I'm from Russia, from Gorky. Now I live in Dallas, Texas. I'm world sambo and 5 times European and Asia jiu-jitsu champion. It's my first time in America. Thank you.
He hasn't lost a fight in 10 years. Born in Saratov, Russia. His hometown now, Gorky, Russia. He's been living in Dallas, Texas. A good friend of Guy Mezger, one of the alternate fighters tonight. His discipline is sambo.
Sambo, a sport that the Russians introduced in the 1980 Olympics. It's a combination of judo and wrestling. However, it specializes in submission holds. And Oleg Taktarov, I really feel, is going to be a force to be reckoned with here at UFC 5.
And Jeff, he's one of the most highly touted fighters that ever came in here. Mezger think he's great.
Without a doubt. The only question is his striking ability.
Well, I don't know. I'm very interested in this particular fighter because other fighters have said he is good.
Oh, yeah. All of them have given him a compliment.
A 4th degree black belt in jiu-jitsu, black belt judo, black belt sambo. And his opponent tonight, 28-year-old Ernie Verdicchia is the Florida Black Belt Association's heavyweight champion in Kempo Karate with an amateur record of 68-4. A paramedic by trade, expected to lay on the hands tonight.
Hi, I'm Ernest Verdicchia. I'm the fighting paramedic from Miami, Florida. I'm a 1st degree black belt in Apache Kempo Karate. All my entourage are licensed EMTs and paramedics, and my opponents are going to need them when I'm finished with them.
He is a paramedic in Dade County in Florida. The Florida Black Belt Association state heavyweight champion from 1993 to 1995 in Kempo Karate. 1st degree black belt in Kempo, brown belt judo, red belt in Taekwondo.
And Verdicchia is a striker. He says his best punch is his right cross. He says he's a mobile fighter. He's not going to be stationary going toe-to-toe. He's going to use the octagon and move around. He says he's very quick, and he says he's not good on the ground. And at the UFCs, that spells trouble.
Oh, absolutely. If he's not good on the ground, he's not going to be quick enough to use his hands. This one shouldn't last that long.
It is sambo against Kempo Karate. Taktarov comes in 27 years of age. Verdicchia is 27 as well. Taktarov a little bit bigger. Verdicia, 14-pound advantage. Taktarov from Russia. Verdicia, born in Havana, Cuba, now living in Miami, Florida. Ron Jeremy of Rock 95.7 in Charlotte will introduce the fighters.
A master in the Russian art of Sambo, a 1994 European Iron Gladiator champion, 4-time European Asian Jiu-Jitsu champion, Russian national judo champion, and world Sambo champion. He's 27 years old, stands 6 feet tall, and weighs in at 205 pounds. From Gorky, Russia, please give a loud American welcome for Oleg Taktarov. He's the Florida Black Belt Association heavyweight champion in Kempo Karate with a record of 68-4, 28 years old, 5 feet 10 inches tall, 219 pounds. Please welcome the Heat from Miami, Florida, Ernie Verdicia.
Taktarov grappler, Verdicia striker. One of our ring girls walking by the apron.
Looking good.
Taktarov is one of the favorites of this event. Somewhat unknown, but highly respected. The referee, John McCarthy, will start the fight.
Move yourself back.
And he makes sure that the fighters are in a certain area, close to the outside of the octagon before they start, and we are underway. Quarterfinal number 3. Taktarov with the white gi, and Verdicia with the red tank top.
Verdicia comes in too close. Taktarov gets a hold of him. That could spell trouble.
Verdicia riding Taktarov.
Striking is going to be the important thing for Verdicia to do well. It's the only question about Taktarov's abilities here is, can he absorb punches and can he defend himself against kicks?
And Verdicia felt he had to get out of the gate quickly, Jim Brown.
And he did.
Let's see if Taktarov is comfortable working from the ground, from the bottom position.
He's trying to elevate Verdicia over. He's going to wait for Verdicia's balance to kind of come to the left, and then he's going to start playing the shimmy game and come out around the side so that he's no longer underneath. But Verdicia is being patient, and that's what he should be.
A little over a minute into this bout. Verdicia continues in the mounted position. The former Newark, New Jersey police officer trying to pull an upset here over Oleg Taktarov.
You're doing good.
There's the footwork of Verdicia.
Oh, and he's got a hold of Verdicia's leg. Let's see what he can do with it. Whoa. Verdicia now has an opportunity to throw some punches. There's some distance between their heads. Oh.
There's a headbutt, which was used in our earlier bout. But Taktarov right now looks very relaxed.
Yes, he does.
Very in control. If there's one thing we've learned from this competition, you've got to trust the man on the bottom if he's a grappler.
Tell you, for a first round bout, this is going to expend a lot of energy for both these fighters. And there's that elevator, and Taktarov has him, and that's probably going to be the end of it right here. There it is.
Technique.
What a move by Taktarov.
Technique.
It always seems to come down to that, Jim, the ability to be able to move on the ground.
And look at the poise and the confidence shown by Taktarov. He looked in complete control, although he was against the mat, Jim.
Well, Bruce, you're not in control if you're taking those blows. And what I'm noticing tonight is a lot of the fighters are now using their headbutts and they're using those punches down there. So the strikers are striking on the ground, which makes it a little more dangerous for the grapplers.
Here is a look at this battle. Early on, Verdicia made the first move, got Taktarov onto his back. But Taktarov never lost his control, lost his poise. He looked so relaxed and so confident. 2 minutes and 20 seconds was the time of the victory. Well, coming up next, the guy who may have to take on Taktarov if he wins this opening round bout, Daniel Severin, who fought Royce Gracie in a memorable final in UFC 4. Right now, a closer look at Daniel Severin, the man they call the Beast. At 6'2", 260 pounds, Michigan wrestler Daniel Severin made an impression the moment he arrived at UFC 4. Then he stepped onto the mat, and the Beast came out. A Greco-Roman specialist with over 70 titles, Severin toured through the competition, winning his first 2 matches in seconds and advancing to the finals against Royce Gracie. Gracie normally defeats his opponents with ease, but Severin turned out to be the toughest, most skilled opponent yet. For 16 grueling minutes, longer than any match in the history of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, Severin rode the 2-time champ. It didn't look good for Gracie. Then, to everyone's surprise, Dan was tapping, and it was all over. But Severin had made his point. He is a man of awesome strength, explosive power, and masterful skill. And he's a force to be reckoned with in the octagon. We've brought some of the toughest fighters from across the globe for the Ultimate Fighting Championship, and most of them agree. Daniel Severin is the man to beat tonight. Yes, the Beast is back. Here comes Daniel Severin, the 1994 AAU Senior and Masters Greco-Roman and Sambo champion. He also has expertise in shoot fighting. He's from Coldwater, Michigan, born in Flint, Michigan, and he has prepared much more intensely for UFC 5 than he did for UFC 4 when he lost the championship to Royce Gracie.
Severin says he's worked awful hard on finishing from the ground. Only time will tell how much and how effective that will be.
And as you can see, there are some overtones already here in the crowd between Royce Gracie supporters and Mike Tyson. There's a look at Severin. He is a focused competitor, Jim Brown. You pointed that out the first time we saw him.
Yes, there's no doubt about it. He has the skills. Jeff knows all about that. In fact, Jeff is a great wrestler himself. Well, let's watch him tonight.
He has a tough opponent, and the man comes from Culver City, California. Joe Charles is a third-degree black belt in judo and also holds black belts in Shotokan and Kenpo karate. Charles fought as an alternate in UFC 4 and beat his opponent in under 30 seconds. This time, he's going for the title.
Hi, I'm Joe Charles from Culver City, California. I was raised in the streets, and I know what it's like to fight. You had seen me in UFC 4. You'll see me again tonight. Check it out. I'm out of here.
Walking into the tune of Ghetto Jam, the Ghetto Man, Joe Charles. Third-degree black belt judo, first-degree black belt Kenpo karate, first-degree black belt Shotokan karate. 6'1", 260. He wrestled in high school. The ground is where I live, says Joe. The winner of the fastest bout in the history of the UFC, 14 seconds. It happened in UFC 4.
Severin, obviously a participant in the longest bout in UFC history, 15 minutes and 49 seconds. Contrasted styles, contrasted duration of bouts.
And I tell you about size, guys. When his butt went up in the air, all that size was rising up. Royce Gracie had it.
Severin, a wrestler. Charles, his discipline is judo. Daniel Severin, 36 years of age. Joe the Ghetto Man Charles is also older at 35. Severin 6'2", Charles 6'1". The weight the same, both come in at 260. Severin from Michigan, Charles from California. Two grapplers, but very different. Right now, let's go to Ron Jeremy, our ring announcer.
Back in the octagon tonight, a veteran of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, a man with over 70 national and international titles in Sambo, freestyle, and Greco-Roman wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance heavyweight champion, 36 years old, 6 feet 2 inches tall, 260 pounds from Coldwater, Michigan. The Beast is back, Daniel Severin! Also a veteran of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, he holds a third-degree black belt in Judo with black belts in Shotokan and Kenpo Karate. 35 years old, 6 feet 1 inch tall, 260 pounds. He's the California Judo Association's heavyweight champion. Welcome back from Culver City, California, the Ghetto Man, Joe Charles.
So this our final quarterfinal bout in UFC 5. The winner takes on the Russian Bear, Taktarov. Severin, an assistant wrestling coach at Arizona State for 5 years and Michigan State for 2 years. Representing Greco-Roman wrestling, Charles Judo. Now we are underway. And immediately Severin grabs the leg and nails Charles into the side of the octagon. Severin trying to show that he's a finisher. That was the only question mark about his last performance in UFC 4. Severin with a knee to the face of Joe Charles. And Charles hanging tough.
Charles is going to be able to get back up if he can keep leveraging himself into the fence. And he's going for the guard now. And he's got there. Let's see now what Severin has learned since his bout with Gracie.
Severin with a punch to the stomach. This was the position that Gracie worked out of. But does Charles have the same skills from his back? A minute 10 in. Severin punching to the face.
There's the arm extension. Severin could be in trouble here. Ghetto Man Charles trying to go for that arm lock.
There's blood coming from the head of Joe Charles. I don't know exactly where it was. Severin with a big elbow. Charles up against the octagon and pulled down by Severin.
And there it is, a choke.
It's a choke and it's over. A minute 39. Severin is fired up. The beast is back. Oh, what a wonderful hug.
Great fight.
Oh, Joe Charles showed how tough he is.
And Severin came back with a different attitude this time.
Jim, here's the quick takedown by Severin. Now Dan Severin with that big elbow to the head.
That's the difference in him. He's a striker now, as well as a wrestler.
And then the choke.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the choke. McCarthy's all over him. And whether he can submit or not, the referee stops the contest right there.
Yes.
Oh, what a big move by Severin. There's the hug at the end of the fight. You won't meet a greater gentleman than Joe Charles. He is one class individual, and he gives the hug to Severin. Here's a look at what transpired thus far in the quarterfinals. Big John Hess, 120. Ref stopped the fight. Todd El Tiburon Medina, 255. Curtin taps out. Oleg, the Russian Bear, Taktarov, choke, 222. Dan the Beast Severin, 139. Ref stops contest after the choke. And Big John Hess will be replaced in the next round by one of our alternates, David Beneteau, the judo wrestling man who won in 21 seconds earlier tonight in his alternate bout against Aspel Cancillo. Hess has a bruised hand, cannot continue, and the way the alternate competition works, if the alternate wins earlier in the evening, he has the right to come in if one of our victors in the first or second round cannot continue due to an injury. Beneteau was victorious in the alternate bout against Aspel Cancillo, the Wing Chun Kung Fu specialist. And let's see how David Beneteau advanced earlier tonight. This was the bout against Cancillo. It only lasted 21 seconds.
And Dave Beneteau, grappling background, simple double leg, knocks his opponent to the ground and then just starts raining in with the fists. None of them really striking the skull, so he's protecting his hands that way, and it just overwhelmed his opponent. Had to quit, tap out, referee intervened.
And right now, a closer look at David Beneteau as he gets set for the semifinals. Canadian fighter David Beneteau holds several titles in judo, Greco-Roman wrestling, and powerlifting. And though he prefers to go to the ground, David says he'll go toe-to-toe with anyone.
Hi, I'm Dave Beneteau from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. I have an extensive background in judo and wrestling, but I'll go toe-to-toe with anybody who wants to exchange punches.
And here comes Dave Beneteau from River Canard, Ontario, near Windsor. He was born in Windsor, U.S. Open wrestling champion in '87. He was a black belt in judo, a four-time Canadian Amateur Wrestling Association champion, a paramedic for the city of Windsor, Ontario.
And here's a guy who's fighting as an alternate, and if he wins this fight, he's in for at least runner-up money. He's got a new attitude coming in.
And Jim, he told us yesterday in our interview with him, he planned this. He felt if he won his early match in the alternate competition, maybe he'd come in the finals. He's coming in the semis.
Well, he must be a spiritual individual, because we never thought that would happen. That big guy Hess should be in here. I don't know why he would submit, right, Bruce?
I hear you, Jim. And part of Beneteau's dream was to get the alternate position in the top half of the bracket where there's strikers, where his grappling skills would work, and he got that wish come true as well.
Beneteau's opponent will be Todd Medina, El Tiburon the Shark, Huntington Beach, California, Jeet Kune Do. Married for 3 years. His wife is Tammy. He is very good friends with Kimo and Josan, who have both appeared in UFCs before. Starts the day with a half an hour of jumping rope, then 2 hours of Jeet Kune Do training, then an hour and a half of jiu-jitsu, and then he lifts weights. A blood technician in a medical lab in Newport Beach, California.
He's got a little,
looks bad.
Yeah, he's got a lot of swelling over that left eye. That could cause problems if it gets a little puffier. It may blur his vision and become one-eyed, and obviously that is dangerous in a fight.
This is our first semifinal of UFC 5. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape between these two fighters. Beneteau, judo and wrestling. Medina, Jeet Kune Do. Beneteau 27, Medina 24. Beneteau 4-inch height advantage.
Put it in your hand now.
Beneteau 258, Medina about the same weight. One hails from Canada, the other from the United States. Ron Jeremy will formally introduce the fighters.
Final match. In the blue corner, an alternate on the 1988 Canadian Olympic wrestling team, a four-time CAWA Canadian wrestling champion, three-time OJA provincial judo champion, 27 years old. He stands at 6 feet 2 inches and weighs in at 258 pounds. From the Great White North of Ontario, Canada, please welcome David Beneteau. In the red corner, a 24-year-old fighter representing the art of Jeet Kune Do, standing at 5 feet 10 inches tall and weighing in at 260 pounds with a record of 5-1 in full contact matches. They call him El Tiburon. From Huntington Beach, California, Todd Medina.
Beneteau against Medina. Semifinal number 1. Big John McCarthy, third man in the ring.
Here we go, babies. Here we go. Are you ready? Are you ready? Let's get it on.
Now we're underway.
Medina showed some good grappling skills in his first fight, but Beneteau is a grappler, and he quickly gets Medina down.
Beneteau in the up position.
Doing good, doing good.
Wearing the tights. Medina in the bicycle shorts.
Quick headbutt by Beneteau. He's able to strike that left eye with that headbutt. Medina could be in an awful lot of trouble. That eye will close up, his vision will become limited, and then he's really vulnerable to strikes.
It David Beneteau riding the top. His manager is Mike Jaworski.
There's no way you're going to take Beneteau out of that top position right now.
He was an alternate in the 1988 Canadian Olympic Wrestling team. He is comfortable on the canvas, and he lands a couple of right hands.
And it was to that left eye of Medina. Beneteau here can relax a little, catch his breath, control himself a little bit more, and then all of a sudden wait for Medina to get a little aggressive on bottom and open up, or force the action.
Punches to the head of Medina.
You can see the inexperience of Medina there. He's not going for a choke.
Mouthpiece is gone from Medina.
Your opponent turns his back to you. You have a beautiful opportunity to go for a choke.
Keep working, keep working.
And again, it's David Beneteau in the mounted position working against the shark, Todd Medina. Not much going on, Jeff.
Not right now. No, Beneteau is in a good position. He's choosing not to sit up and try to throw strikes. I think right now he's just trying to soften up Medina. There he goes.
There's the strike.
That's it. That's it.
That's it. The towel's thrown in. And David Beneteau, an alternate, is into the finals of the UFC 5.
Oh, boy, look at that eye. You're absolutely right there, Bruce.
That eye is a mess. Just above the left eye of
Good job, guys. Good job.
the shark, Todd Medina.
Come on out through here, man.
Let's take a look at the takedown, Jim, right from the gun.
Yes, actually Medina should have never allowed this. His skills on the ground were basically zero. He did nothing with his legs. And the fight is virtually over.
All right, Daniel Severin coming up next against Oleg the Russian Bear Taktarov. It will be a war. This could be the showstopper. And they're bringing in Oleg the Russian Bear Taktarov. A man of great composure who hasn't lost a fight in 10 years. Four-time European Asian full contact jiu-jitsu champion. The Russian national heavyweight judo champion. He's been in the States for 4 months. And Guy Mezger, an alternate fighter who has been in a couple of UFCs, also a part of that entourage. His discipline in Sambo, a 4th-degree black belt in jiu-jitsu. And very impressive early on with the choke at 222 over Ernie the Heat Verdecia.
Taktarov has shown a lot. He showed that he can't strike very well, but his submission holds are superb. Tremendous technique. It'll be a great bout between Taktarov and Severin. Jim called me out on a prediction. I'm going to look for an upset.
Well, I tell you, I'm very happy to see you here for the second time. Maybe a little wiser, but I'm only kidding.
All right, guys, another look now at Dan the Beast Severn. Master wrestler Dan Severn returns to the octagon tonight as both the National Wrestling Alliance's heavyweight champion and the hands-on favorite to win the UFC. With no Royce Gracie in the competition, can anyone stop this man?
Hi, I'm Dan Severn. I'm from Coldwater, Michigan. I held back in UFC 4, but tonight, when that gate shuts, I'm going to turn the beast loose.
Well, he won that belt, the National Wrestling Alliance heavyweight title in Kentucky in February. It's the oldest wrestling alliance. He is the 1994 AAU Senior and Masters Greco-Roman and Sambo champion, and he has become the beast. He was absolutely wild following his first round victory tonight over the ghetto man Joe Charles at 139.
And isn't this the weight that you're talking about? This guy is much bigger than the Russian. Shouldn't he win hands down because of that weight?
taking a line from you, Jim Brown, you say it's not the weight, it's the technique.
Well,
and that's what I'm banking on.
I thought Bruce wanted to count on that weight.
I like the extra 55 pounds. I do.
I do too in this situation.
Here's a look at Daniel Severin. First international experience, 8-17, a victory in Istanbul versus a 34-year-old. He fought in Cuba once, almost on a dirt floor. And here's the tail of the tape. It is Sambo against Greco-Roman wrestling. Takhtarov is the youngster, 27. Severin is 36. Severin has a 2-inch height advantage and 55 pounds over his Russian counterpart. It's Michigan in the heart of the United States against the Russian, Oleg Takhtarov. Could you ask for a better setup? Here's Ron Jeremy.
For our second semifinal, in the blue corner, a master in the Russian art of Sambo, 1994 European Iron Gladiator champion, 4-time European Asian Jiu-Jitsu champion, Russian national judo champion, and world Sambo champion. He's 27 years old, stands 6 feet tall, and weighs in at 205 pounds. From Gorky, Russia, Oleg Takhtarov. And in the red corner, a man with over 70 national and international titles in Sambo, freestyle, and Greco-Roman wrestling. The National Wrestling Alliance heavyweight champion, 36 years old, 6 feet 2 inches tall, 260 pounds, from Coldwater, Michigan, Daniel Severn.
It is a Severn house. And it is a classic U.S.-Russia matchup.
Of all the fighters in the UFC 5 tournament, these two I felt were the best, and they got paired in the same half of the bracket.
Here we go. This should be a great match. Two guys who love to grapple. Takhtarov in the gi, Severin in the black shorts. Severin goes in first. And he knees Takhtarov to the face. And he's quickly in the mounted position. And he is letting it all hang out. But look at Takhtarov. Now Severin rolls him.
Same position. Same position. No real change there.
Here's where 55 pounds, Jim Brown, comes in handy. Extra 55.
That's right. Right now, that's what it looks like.
Severin's coach just outside the ring. That's his manager, Phyllis Lee.
You're doing good. Doing good.
And the crowd beginning to chant USA.
I know one thing, Takhtarov won't be able to lever Severin over with that elevator. Severin, a grappler, knows it all too well.
Severin gets back inside. Big right hand landed to the face of Takhtarov. Severin really working, trying to get a better position. Takhtarov still very poised.
Catching a few to the side of the head. Yep. But Severin's punches aren't carrying real knockout power.
And we saw earlier, Jim, that Takhtarov bought his time. He bought his time. Oh. There's a right hand by Severin. And another one to the face of Takhtarov.
Watch your dog! Get it on the face!
And a headbutt from Severin.
What you're watching here is Takhtarov trying to wrap around one of the arms of Severin. He's looking to go for that arm-locking submission.
Manager Phyllis Lee looking out for Severin.
Severin again having problems finishing from this position. I'm not saying he's in any trouble here. There's that arm is in that lock now, but it's not straightened out. He's going to have to arch his back to put any pressure in, and while he's laying in that rolled up ball, Taktarov cannot do that.
A knee to the head by Daniel Severn. This is for the right to go to the finals in UFC 5. Severn, another knee to the eye of Taktarov. I don't know if Taktarov has taken this type of punishment before. Another knee, lots of blood.
Taktarov is
Taktarov
bleeding
is getting hit
bad.
bad.
He's bleeding really bad. Those knees have opened up a pretty good wound. That's going to affect Taktarov's vision. That's going to help Severn now. But Taktarov is still game. Oh!
Headbutts by Severn. 325 in. Now 330.
It's going to be difficult for the referee to stop it here. Severn's in such an advantage to check that cut on Taktarov's head. I'm sure they're going to have to wait till he gets to his feet before they'll even go ahead and try to stop it for the doctor to look at it.
Well, he's fighting back. He's definitely not giving in, so why not let it go?
Oh, they're going to let it go.
Another knee by Severn. The Russian Bear unwieldy. Severn pummeling away.
Severn is tough here. He's really hammering on Taktarov.
And now Big John McCarthy wants a closer look. He wants a closer look.
Well, I'm not sure.
Over. I think it's over.
Oh, and he's even cut on the back of the head pretty bad. Oh, Severn doing a pounding on Taktarov's head.
And cutman Leon Tabs quickly gets in there. The referee was shielded and did not see all the punishment, I believe, that was being exerted by the beast, Dan Severn.
Well, Taktarov was fighting back. He never stopped fighting, but it's obvious that that cut is very, very bad.
Tremendous heart.
Oh,
Tremendous
great
heart.
but the size paid off, Jim Brown, and Dan Severn is back in the finals.
And the doctors are in the ring as well. Dr. Richard Istrigo is the ringside physician. There are 5 doctors ringside overall. There's an anesthesiologist, a neurosurgeon, an orthopedic surgeon, and a nurse assistant in addition to the head doctor, Dr. Richard Istrigo. There's also 2 advanced life support units in this building. Here's a look at Dan Severn initially taking over and going with the knee to the head of Oleg Taktarov.
What he's actually done is he worked on all of his kicks, his butts, and his blows. It's added a lot to his arsenal.
And certainly right now we hope that Taktarov is okay. That is our first concern. He got pounded to the head, to the face, and he is being administered to by the ringside physicians here in Charlotte. Here's a look at the end of the fight. Referee finally came in there, and it was a lot worse than he had thought. There was damage done to the face and to the back of the head. Taktarov is off the mat and receives a huge round of applause from the crowd. And we are pleased to see that he is doing okay for the moment. Wow, what a brutal match that was. So David Beneteau goes into the finals against Dan Severn. That will be the championship for the UFC. And still ahead tonight, the super fight. Can One Punch Shamrock against Royce Gracie, whose legend continues to grow in the martial arts world. The last 18 months, he has become the most well-known martial artist on the planet. 4th degree black belt in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. And here comes Ken Shamrock into the octagon. From Lockford, California, the Sacramento area. His 3rd UFC, 3-1, with 1 did not continue. The Pancrase Association champion in shoot fighting.
Shamrock has a lot of good tools, obviously successful in shoot fighting. He has had some success here at the UFC. However, he's never been able to win here, either by injury or by the name Royce Gracie.
His chance will be based on a foothold or a punch.
Now we've had a chance to get some words from Ken Wayne Shamrock. Two-time UFC veteran Ken Shamrock is the Japanese Pancrase Association shoot fighting champion with a record of 13-2. He's met his opponent before in the octagon, and tonight he's out to settle the score.
Hi, I'm Ken Shamrock. I'm from Lockford, California. I've heard all the hype. I've heard all the press. I've seen all the talk. Now it's time for the fight. I've waited over a year and a half for this, and I'm not gonna lose. I'm here to win.
And there's a look at Royce Gracie, a closer look at the man who is one of the most dangerous in the world. Here comes the Gracie train. Father Elio, 82 years young. The youngster of the group is Florian. Actually, the youngster is Heron, who is the son of Florian, who is the brother of Royce. Royce Gracie, 51-1 as an amateur, 10-0 in the octagon with one no contest. The three-time winner of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, the World Light Heavyweight Jiu-Jitsu champion. He was on his back for 15 minutes in UFC 4 against Dan Severn. He won the fight, folks. Trains and teaches at the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Academy. Once again, a closer look at Royce Gracie. Three-time UFC champion Royce Gracie is the only man to have fought in all 4 Ultimate Fighting Championships. A 4th-degree black belt in the art of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, he has never been defeated in the octagon.
Hi, I'm Royce Gracie from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Tonight, I'm only gonna fight one man. That won't be any problem. I beat him before, and I'll beat him again.
Right now, a look at the tail of the tape between Shamrock and Gracie. It's shoot fighting against Brazilian or Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Shamrock is 31, Gracie 28. Shamrock 6 foot, Gracie 6'1". Shamrock has 25 pounds on his opponent. Shamrock Kelly from California. Right now, Gracie is from Torrance, California, born in Rio de Janeiro. Here's our announcer, Ron Jeremy.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from Independence Arena in the Tar Heel state of North Carolina, the 7-4 Entertainment Group in association with WOW Promotions presents the Ultimate Fighting Championship 5. Plus, for the first time, the match you've all been waiting for. The Super Fight. Representing the Japanese Pancrase Association, a shoot fighter with a professional record of 13-2, 31 years old and standing 6 feet tall, 205 pounds. He's a 2-time veteran of the Ultimate Fighting Championship from Lockford, California. Please welcome Ken Shamrock. And in the red corner, the only man to have fought in all 4 Ultimate Fighting Championships, a 4th-degree black belt in the art of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's 28 years old and stands 6 feet, 1 inch tall, and weighs in at 180 pounds, with a record of 51-1 as an amateur, 11-1 as a pro. Please welcome, from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, the 3-time undisputed Ultimate Fighting Champion, Royce Gracie.
time limit. Combined purse, $50,000. Big John McCarthy, third man in the ring. Ken Wayne Shamrock, Hoist Gracie, our first ever super fight in the UFC. And here we go. Speedo for Shamrock, Gi for Gracie. Shamrock, striker, grappler, Gracie, renowned grappler.
That just missed.
Shamrock gets to the mounted position.
Oh.
Gracie lands a right to the face of Shamrock.
There's the guard. Went right to the guard. We might have another long bout right here if Shamrock can't solve it.
Gracie was in this position for 15 plus minutes against Dan Severn, and then he turned it around to win. And if you see Gracie looking over, he's looking over to his father, Elio, who's 82, and who Hoist says is a remarkable coach. He whistles when Gracie doesn't know where he is in the ring, just to let him know that he's there if he needs him.
It's confidence boost. He said against Severn, he actually every now and then looked over to his father. His father would put his thumb up and say, "You're doing okay," and it would relax Gracie, allow him to stay composed.
Jim Shamrock stays in the mounted position as we look at Elio just outside of the octagon, shouting instructions. Gracie on the back where he usually is.
And I would hope that the fans would understand the art that's taking place right now, because you really have to know what you're doing.
Kenny Shamrock's dad, Bob, who has opened up his heart to over 800 boys over the years with the Shamrock Home for Boys, which opened in 1968. Took in young Ken, and what a model citizen Shamrock has become. Gracie working the leg and chopping away at the back of Shamrock.
Hitting him in the kidney area right there.
It's like a boxer going to the body blows. Over time, the accumulation will stay with you into the wee hours.
Gracie holds the head down so Shamrock can't right himself to launch punches. Gracie also will see if Shamrock will try to back out, leaving his arms behind, and then he'll look for one of those arm locks and a submission hold.
Shamrock, a living legend in Japan. They've got a cartoon in Japan about his life in a comic book, also called manga. Bob Shamrock looking on from his coach position. Again, the kidney blows by Gracie to the right to the kidney again.
And I often wonder why Shamrock won't use a knee to try to start Gracie in the coxswain, low and tough into the groin. That could certainly stop Gracie there. Certainly would cause some damage. The other is to use just your hand over the mouth and nose of Gracie and try to initiate a choke where Gracie has to remove his hands to remove your hand, and when he does so, you can raise yourself upright. Gracie going for a choke now, arm around the back of the head and the front hand trying to work itself under the chin to the throat area of Shamrock. If he can reach under there, he'll grab his gi on the other side and start the clamp.
Headbutt by Shamrock. Gracie likes the gi because he's able to get that slippery hand out of his own way.
He also says the gi absorbs the sweat of his opponent, making him less slippery, and that's a big advantage when looking for a submission hold.
Florian, his brother, in the tie and jacket, part of the Gracie clan, offering their support to Hoist, who remains on his back where he is most comfortable in the art of jiu-jitsu.
Shamrock's right, there's Shamrock's right hand. It finally came out. It was trapped between the bodies for so long.
Shamrock, who won street fights, tough man contests. He wrestled. Now the Japanese Pancrase shoot fighting champion. He's got to be in great shape to keep the pressure on Gracie, because Hoist, Jim, is not going to fatigue.
That's why he works every day so long in that position.
Not every day, Jim. Half his life, he told us. He's been doing this 28 years, and he said at least 50% of the time he practices this guard position.
We are 5 minutes into this bout. It has a 30-minute time limit. If they finish 30, it will be a draw. Shamrock in the mounted position. Three-time UFC Royce Gracie working from his back, continuing to work with those legs. He says that techniques are based on leverage, not power.
His father taught him, if you give me leverage, I can lift the world. And it's such an important thing. That's all of what wrestling is based on. You hear some boos because people want to see punches. In a street fight, hitting the ground like this is going to be a common thing, and you have to learn to fight there. And these two are both very good at it. I'd have to give the advantage to Gracie, though. He's spent more time here than anyone in the world, perhaps except his dad.
His dad fought for some 40 years. The Gracie clan spans 7 decades of combat. The torch has been passed to Royce. His dad once fought in a match for 3 hours and 45 minutes. Longest fight in history. He lost to Waldemar Santana, his student. His arm was broken, and he hung in there. So I'm sure he has passed along a lot of that to Royce, who begins to hammer a little bit to Shamrock's back. The back of his head as well.
To his credit, Shamrock isn't panicking either.
Not at all.
And this is what I was worried about. These two are so good here. They both kind of wait and see if the other one will get a little too aggressive and give the other an opening, which they can exploit and try to get a few good strikes in or a submission lock.
Royce Gracie landing some lefts, and now Shamrock headbutts Gracie. And one got through Gracie's guard pretty good.
Doing good. Keep it going.
If it hits on the side of the face, it's not as effective. If he catches him anywhere in the front, particularly the nose, that is where he can do his damage. And now Shamrock trying to get up, but right back to the guard. It is so difficult to get a clean, powerful shot at Royce Gracie. You might get a clean shot, but with no power.
Gracie actually wraps his arm around the head of Shamrock and grabs his gi.
And that creates a loop in which Shamrock cannot lift his head and right his body.
You see Gracie's right hand grabbing the inside of his gi on the left arm.
There's the knee. I wondered when Shamrock would try to do that.
Shamrock again landing. Jim, you're looking at two superbly conditioned athletes.
Absolutely.
8 minutes in to the super fight at UFC 5 at Independence Arena in Charlotte. Ken Shamrock riding Royce Gracie.
The one thing you never want to do when you're in the mount position here, like Schwab, he's really not mounted in the top position, would be to bring one arm back and try to hook a Gracie leg and pull it forward, because you're leaving your other arm behind, and that's exactly what Gracie wants you to do. He'll lock up that arm bar real quick and submit you. But Shamrock said he wouldn't surrender, so that poses an interesting question.
Well, he was known as One Punch Shamrock in his earlier days. He's far past that now. He's got a 25-pound weight advantage. He's using it now.
I really feel Royce is very content to stay right where
calm.
he is.
Jim, both fighters are showing tremendous composure here.
Well, yes, I think that Ken is doing a tremendous job, because he is not getting out of his game plan. He knows it's very dangerous.
Shamrock said, I believe my style is stronger than his. On Gracie, he said Gracie's techniques are sneaky. He slides into them like a snake.
And you start to see some real welts, particularly on the left side, the kidney area of Shamrock's back.
Shamrock also said, I'm not going to rush it.
Keep it working. Doing
The
good.
super
Doing
fight
good. Keep
continues
working,
the
guys.
way it began, with Ken Shamrock in the mounted position, Royce Gracie on the mat of the octagon, which is a 750 feet square space. Gracie, a quick pop to the head of Shamrock, and then an elbow.
Incredible, the balance and articulate movement that Gracie possesses in every limb. He can attack you with any part of his body.
10 minutes in. Gracie would like to win with a choke, but he has won in the UFC with 4 arm locks, 3 naked chokes, 2 strikes, and 1 triangle choke.
The triangle being with his legs, that's the one he defeated Severn with.
Gracie has never lost in the octagon. Shamrock has lost once. That was to Gracie in UFC 1.
Another point is, too, when Shamrock throws his headbutts and Gracie's head is off the ground, they're not going to be effective because as he strikes him, his head can move. If Gracie's head is on the canvas, then it's much more powerful because Gracie has to absorb the full energy of the blow.
2 submissions fighters going head to head, literally body to body.
And if Shamrock lifts that head at all or doesn't keep his chin tucked, Gracie's left hand is going to slide under the neck and try to grab the gi of his right arm, and he'll be into a choke position. See, he's just slapping him. All he's trying to do is get him to try something. Shamrock is going to sit there and say, okay, Gracie, if you're going to play the waiting game, so will I.
Headbutt by Shamrock. Gracie's style has never been about blood. It's been about technique. We talked about that yesterday. He's proud of that.
Very proud of it. He almost never draws blood, and he almost never wants to finish with punching. He has won a few that way. However, without a doubt, his best shots are going to be his submission holds and his chokes.
Jim, what do you think? 11 minutes in.
Well, I think you're seeing 2 masters.
Doing good. Keep working.
12 minutes now.
And it could go a long time.
It's kind of like a pounding running game in football, isn't it?
Absolutely. And Shamrock said before that he did not want to necessarily be on top because Gracie is better when he's underneath.
But he was aggressive right out of the gate, and he took the mounted position, and he's been there ever since. Shamrock in superb condition.
And now you see Gracie reaching across with his other hand grabbing the gi. Maybe now he's trying to bait Shamrock into coming up again, but that sleeve is all the way up to the elbow, and that'll pose a problem. You see him actually pulling his sleeve down to the wrist. That way he can grab the gi, and he's in a position to reach under the neck again.
Keep working,
Super fight continues.
You think he wants to get near the fence?
Shamrock's actually doing what we do in wrestling. You always turn your head of the opponent to the center of the mat so he can't crawl out.
What about the fence, Jeff? Would it benefit anybody in this particular position?
It's hard to tell. I would tend to think it would help Gracie because Shamrock can then not drive forward and lean in. Otherwise, Gracie can start to crawl the fence. We've seen Gracie put people away at the fence because people start to grab on and leave their arms behind.
Gracie looking over to his dad, Elio. Shamrock gets in a couple blows. Another one to the back of Gracie's head. Headbutt by Shamrock, who's getting a little busier.
Really, the pace here isn't really frantic at all. It's very measured.
But they're still moving. If referee John McCarthy ever feels at a given time that neither fighter is putting forth effort, they will both go to their feet, but that is not the case here. Gracie with the leg, chopping to the back of Shamrock.
And over time, those are going to really add up. Shamrock trying to sit back, trying to raise his head. Because Gracie is hanging on to his own gi, that's a loop that he's not going to be able to break.
.14 minutes and 30 seconds in to this super fight. Gracie Severn was 15 minutes, 49 seconds That's been the longest fight ever in the UFC, and this one is approaching that.
The two of them are right in front of us now. Gracie is staring right up at the ceiling. Everything is by feel. He doesn't even need to look at his opponent to know exactly where his legs and hands are.
Gracie making a little move. Shamrock with the right sends him back down.
Shamrock is now a little bit higher in the backside there, trying to get more leverage towards Gracie's head. Once again, if he tries to back out here, he's better do it with both arms, not just one.
What kind of strength does it take, Jim, for Ken Shamrock to be there for as long as he's been there?
Well, it takes a lot.
Now Gracie starting to work frantically from the ground. But Shamrock locks him back up. Now Gracie again, trying to make a move. They draw closer to the fence. It is the longest fight in UFC history right now. Time limit is 30 minutes.
Well, we're halfway there. They've got to be a little more fatigued, and certainly now the pace is picking up.
Still to come, David Beneteau, Dan the Beast Severn for the main draw, the finals of UFC 5. And those fighters are getting a big rest period here.
And I just wonder in the back of Shamrock's mind if a draw with Gracie in effect is a victory.
What do you think, Jim?
I think probably so, because he isn't making any dangerous moves. He's taking no chances.
Exactly.
Bruce Beck, Jeff Blatnick, Jim Brown. Independence Arena, Charlotte, North Carolina. Super fight, the longest fight in UFC history. Ken Shamrock, mounted position, hoists Gracie on his back. They have been in this position since about the 32nd or 42nd mark. I don't know if the fans appreciate the skill, the technique, the power, and the endurance of these two guys, but the early boos have stopped. I think the respect has been earned. 17 plus minutes in, 30-minute time limit. Jeff, does Gracie take a shot or does he not?
It's hard to tell. We've never seen the chin of Royce Gracie. Chemo seemed to get a couple whacks at him in UFC 3, I believe. And it was Gracie was unable to continue. That's his only blemish on an undefeated record, is did not continue because of injuries sustained in his victory over chemo.
If you guys both think that it would be a plus, almost a victory, for Shamrock to get the draw, what do you think Gracie would think as Elio, his dad, looks on?
I feel it's probably just going to put a little bit of a dent in that bigger-than-life reputation that Gracie has. Just a little bit of a dent in that cornerstone. He's still not beaten, but it gives Shamrock a lot of legitimacy.
We put the restriction on time. In these kind of fights, basically, there should be no time, because the Gracies don't deal with time. They deal with winning or losing.
That's correct. And that's what happens in a street fight.
That's why Elio's got almost 4 hours once in a fight.
All the way to 18 minutes and 30 seconds now, and both of them still working at a modest pace here.
And Gracie grabbing onto his own gi again, with his right hand around the head of Shamrock.
If he can slide that left arm under, he'll try to latch onto the right arm of his gi and apply a chokehold, but Shamrock will have none of it. He keeps that chin tucked very, very well.
Shamrock recently in a movie, Virtuosity, with Denzel Washington, but this is no acting here. This is the real thing.
You really don't see Shamrock trying to look at Gracie. And again, he's going by feel here as well.
He has not looked up at all.
Only when he tried that one effort, that one burst where he backed out and kind of got upright, but he was unable to really have any powerful punches to hit Gracie in the head with.
Bob Shamrock watching from the coach's pad. Both Bob Shamrock and Elio Gracie hold towels, which I don't think will ever be thrown in here. And that is an understatement. Although they do have tremendous respect for their sons, and if it was necessary, they would do it. But these two guys very much composed.
Shamrock keeps that chin tucked in. That's absolutely necessary right there.
Absolutely necessary. If he lifts that head up, it becomes vulnerable, particularly to the choke. And if you just put your arms in front of you and touch your left hand to your right elbow and your right hand to your left bicep, that's what Gracie, in effect, is trying to use as a choke with Shamrock's neck in between the two forearms. By grabbing the gi, you automatically put that into a locked position. And when you grab that gi, it's really tough to break those locks.
2/3 of the way through our fight. 30-minute time limit. We're getting closer to it, guys.
And it could be really, I think it's a strong possibility this is going to end in a draw now. It seems as though Shamrock is not going to put himself at risk getting too aggressive. Gracie, by taking this position, really forces Shamrock to do all the aggressive action. And anytime you get too aggressive, you leave openings. Those openings can be exploited. There's Shamrock, a quick burst, but immediately tucking that chin again, not leaving his head exposed.
Everyone around the ring is on their feet. Every single person standing within 10, 15 feet of the ring. They have stood the entire fight. Meanwhile, the bout has been contested on a mat. So while the fans stand, the opponents grapple. Ken Shamrock, the Japanese pancrase shoot fighting champion from Lockford, California. Royce Gracie, the 3-time winner of the Ultimate, the world light heavyweight jiu-jitsu champion from Torrance, California by way of Rio de Janeiro. And the fight reaches the 21:40 mark. Still to come, UFC 5's main draw final. Dave Beneteau, Dan the Beast Severn. Mounted position for Shamrock. Gracie on his back.
And just as an aside about that UFC final, both fighters now are getting a lot of rest. Shouldn't affect them in the finals as far as fatigue from their previous bouts.
Could we see a last 90-second burst by one of the fighters that could lead to an error, Jim?
Well, I don't know. I think it'll be up to Shamrock.
But it's going to be up to Shamrock to see how aggressive he's going to be, because Gracie can't be aggressive in the guard. The guard is a wait and attack mode.
And what Shamrock pointed out before the fight when we talked to him is that he could not make a mistake. That Gracie waits for you to make a mistake.
Exactly.
He's following his script to a T.
I do believe when this is over, though, it'll be Shamrock's body that probably took most of the punishment, particularly the kidney area, because of those heels and feet to that lower back. But I don't think any of them have been all that powerful to the point where they really are going to cause any serious injury.
Shamrock enhances his position momentarily, although his weight slightly forward as he goes head-to-head with Gracie.
Nothing there. Royce turns his head to the side. He's throwing the punches. He could hurt his hand hitting the backside of Gracie's head. And once he collapses down to one knee, it's a wait-and-see battle again. When Shamrock goes to his toes, he's looking for something.
The early update on Oleg, the Russian Bear Taktarov, stitches to his forehead. He is okay. Good news.
You've been working.
Taktarov injured in his fight against Dan the Beast Severn.
Anytime you see blood, it makes the injury seem much more
severe?
Yeah, severe than it truly is.
Coming up on 24 minutes in the super fight.
Let's get it, come on.
And it's still Shamrock in the mounted position.
You can see him really struggling to get that left hand between the chin of Shamrock and his chest, looking for a choke, but he's not there yet.
Crowd getting behind Gracie.
They sense that's what he's looking for, but he can't grab the right arm gi.
Again, Gracie grabs the left arm, grabbing the gi.
It's going to go the full way. And in effect, I really do believe this draw will enhance Shamrock's reputation and style, and it'll put that little dent in the armor of Gracie's really unblemished reputation.
Well, I would not care about a little dent in my armor as long as I've never been beaten.
He'll be there to fight again. You can bet that, yes.
25 minutes in, 5 minutes to go in the super fight. Gracie chopping to the back of the head. There are little slaps to the back of Shamrock's head.
All that's just trying to do is trying to get him to lift his head up a little bit.
Shamrock won't do it. I don't know if the fighters know how much time remains. I would think they would be told by the referee, and we have been informed they do know how much time remains.
Shamrock seems to be picking up the pace a little bit more here, trying to create an opening for himself. And you see that left hand of Gracie again trying to work its way underneath. The instant he does that, Shamrock has to clam up. He doesn't want to make that big mistake to give Gracie a chance.
A tremendous battle of mental and physical. 26 minutes in, 4 minutes left in the super fight. Will anyone take a shot? Will anyone commit an error? Bob Shamrock, the dad of Ken. Adopted Ken, who was a troubled 13-year-old in 1977. Elio Gracie, the elder statesman of the Gracie clan. The crowd starts to shout Gracie. Chant Gracie, Gracie. And now Shamrock's chants echo through the crowd here at the Independence Arena in Charlotte. Three minutes remain. 3 to go in the super fight. And Bob Shamrock is shouting, get up and punch him. Get up and do something.
Well, he understands that the time limit is running out, and I'm afraid we're headed for a draw in our first super fight. Shamrock will probably wait to the last minute before he really tries something overly aggressive. Again, the reason why he doesn't want to make that big mistake to give Gracie a chance.
Royce Gracie, the only competitor to compete in all 5 UFCs. He's never been beaten in the octagon. Again, slapping to the back of Shamrock's head. Trying to get some movement. Gracie doesn't need much time if he makes a move for a choke. It happens quick, but he's got 2 minutes to do it.
It's not going to happen, Bruce. Neither one's really taking any major risk here. Gracie will continue to grab that gi to make the loop around Shamrock's head, preventing him from getting upright and raining blows down.
I think there may be some boos at the beginning, but I think those boos will turn to cheers here at the arena if this one ends in a draw. 1:30 remaining. 1:30 to a draw. Ken Wayne Shamrock, Royce Gracie, and now Shamrock becomes the battle cry of the crowd.
And you can see Shamrock's left hand protecting his throat from Gracie. That is the reason why you see that left elbow folded between the bodies. He's keeping the hands of Gracie clear of his throat. 2 defensive strategies here.
60 seconds left. Shamrock, mounted position. Gracie on his back. They both know there's a minute to go. They've been told by Big John McCarthy, the referee.
And it really takes an appreciation of ground fighting to understand the Gracie guard and how difficult it is to attack from there.
If the time limit is up, the backup referee, Lonnie Foster, will come into the octagon and end it.
Come on, guys.
Coming up on 20 seconds to go. Will it end the way it began?
Keep working.
With Shamrock in the mounted position and Gracie on his back. And it looks that way with 10 seconds to go. No one going anywhere. No one has gone near the octagon yet. It's 30 minutes. 30 minutes, that's an unofficial time. No one has stopped the bout yet. The clock continues to run. We're at 30-10.
This is interesting.
There is a time limit, but nothing has happened. Now we've been told there's a 5-minute overtime.
I believe they adapted the rules here to try to give the fighters a chance to finish it off.
Yep, another one of those rules that was
Well, I think it's a good
ringside.
rule. It's a good rule for the fans. I think the fans would like to see the resolution to the fact. I like it.
Okay.
Certainly nobody can claim this is awfully too violent. In this kind of a position, there's not a whole lot happening. It's so intricate, so subtle. The holds that Gracie puts on you, and Shamrock isn't being too aggressive. He's trying to land a few blows, but unless he really gets to an upright position, there's nothing he can do to finish Gracie off here. And that's going to be it. That's going to be it. The fight's over.
That is it.
That's it.
That is all.
That's it.
31-06.
There is no winner.
And we are told, let's see, that this will be a 5-minute overtime.
They're going to start them on their feet
They'll
again.
start on their feet, so the 30 minutes became 31-06. 5-minute overtime, and both corners agree. Bob Shamrock says yes. Emilio Gracie says yes. They will start from their feet.
Are you ready to go? Are you ready to go?
And Royce likes that. He's got a chance to work from the top. 5-minute OT underway.
Come on, babies, let's go.
A restart in the super fight.
Now this changes everything here. This changes everything here. They're back on their feet. Anything can happen here. Both these guys like to be on the ground. And guess what? They're back in the
hit Gracie with a right hand. And Gracie looks like he's got a mouse underneath his right eye. He got popped by a right from Shamrock.
He's going to work on that mouse now using those small headbutts.
There's the headbutt by Shamrock. He nailed Gracie.
Let's work.
Where they both were standing. And that eye will close quickly from that position. That is a vulnerable spot by the eye. It's dangerous if the blood goes into the eye area.
Well, it's going to affect his vision, but as you saw, Gracie doesn't really look at his opponent in the guard. He may look to see a lock or where his gi is so he can grab it. But when they put him on their feet, that changed everything, and I think that was an advantage for Shamrock, putting them back on their feet, because I believe he's probably the better puncher.
So Gracie now has to defend his eye instead of worry about making an offensive move.
I really don't think Gracie's too worried about the eye. Again, once you're in the guard, it's all by feel. It might be painful, I agree with you there, Bruce.
But that left hand now, you can see he's using it defensively rather than reaching around and trying to grab his own gi.
That's correct, because Shamrock knows there's a mouse there. No, Gracie is cut and bleeding. He's going to take those little headbutts. They're not real powerful, but he's going to strike that damaged area, and obviously that's got to be a little bit uncomfortable for Gracie. And certainly it's going to make Gracie look the worst of wear in this entire contest.
2 minutes into the 5-minute overtime, Shamrock pummeling Gracie with a right hand to the head.
Keep working.
Another shot to Gracie's head by Shamrock, who has gotten more aggressive.
Well, he senses the kill here now. He realizes Gracie's a little bit hurt.
Keep working.
And who knows how hard that punch was. Gracie, we've never seen him hurt before. We don't know what he's really going to look like.
So that big cut underneath the right eye of Gracie. It swells up quickly. Shamrock not getting to that cut where his head is now. It's more at the Adam's apple of Gracie. 5-minute overtime in this super fight. Shamrock back where he was in regulation. In the mounted position. Jim, is Gracie thinking draw now with the cut the way it is?
Well, it becomes a stalemate because Shamrock knows what not to do, and Gracie knows what he can't do.
Come on, Jim, let's work. Come on,
So if Gracie can get that arm under, that's about all it seems that he can try to do at this time. Shamrock knows that.
In a very subtle way, Jim is right, but in a very subtle way, it seemed as though Shamrock was defensive through the whole 30-minute period. But I believe what you're saying here, Bruce, is correct. I believe now Gracie is the one who is all defense here. He is not going to try, except for that chokehold, to do anything too offensive because he is hurt, and I think he knows it.
Head to head.
Oh, Gracie went back to the guard. It looked as though he might try an elevator that we saw earlier in the earlier fight.
A minute left in overtime. Shamrock and Gracie. Shamrock back on top. Huge swelling underneath the right eye of Gracie. Oh, almost got his finger near Gracie's eye. That is unallowed. That is disallowed in this competition. Eye gouging not allowed.
Intentional eye gouging.
30 seconds left, guys.
Almost 30 seconds now.
Put it out. Come on, 30 seconds.
Shamrock working hard.
But Shamrock is definitely the aggressor now, no doubt about it.
But Gracie, a master of defense as well as offense. A matter of fact, his offense usually keys off his defense.
30 seconds, come on,
The whole guard is a defensive set. It starts with the premise of defense, waiting for the man on top to become too aggressive, leaving that opening for exploitation.
5 seconds to go. Gracie's going to look a lot worse, but this one will end in a draw.
All right, pull it apart, pull it apart.
And that is the end of the super fight. Wow. Oh, I can't believe there's boos. I can't believe it.
Some of these people, there's a lot of people clapping. There's a lot of people clapping.
I said the boos would change to claps. Gracie is a mess. Shamrock looks marvelous. And the crowd does not like it at all. You can see there's a little mouse under the left eye of Gracie. That right eye will be closed in a matter of time. Shamrock parading the ring, raising his arms in victory.
Well, there was no victory, but it's certainly going to appear because Shamrock got put on his feet. That gave him the chance to strike in that 5-minute overtime, and that was really the only big blow of this entire fight.
Well, they have to start it that way. And after all, it's the Ultimate Fighting Championship, so it's on your feet, it's striking, it's all of it.
Now this is OT. Watch the right hand by Shamrock.
The first big blow.
36 minutes and 6 seconds was the time of this bout. It ends in a draw. Gracie being lifted by his brothers. As you take a look at that action from overtime. Jim Shamrock made a run of it in overtime. There's the end of the bout. Royce Gracie and Ken Shamrock fight to a draw. Although both raised their hands,
you know, people
in
are
a
very
sign of
interesting.
victory.
You know, they never understand the subtleties, the heart of a warrior, all of the things that it takes to really be a champion. Both these guys are champions. But Shamrock should have put him in submission. And that would have cleared it up.
I think he tried, Jim. I think he tried very, very hard. The crowd is treating Shamrock right now with a lot of adulation, as though he's the winner.
Because of the position he had during the fight.
Yes.
Of course, the bloody state of Royce's face. But he could have taken some chances.
I believe Royce went right to the locker room to be attended to.
Well, I would hope so.
Oh, yes. All right, guys, here's a look at the brackets, the way things unfolded tonight. First, John Hess was victorious over Andy Anderson. Ref stopped the fight at minute 20. Then Todd Medina, El Tiburon at 2:55 when Larry Curitin tapped out. Then the Russian Bear, Oleg Takhtarov, with a choke at 2:22 over Ernie Verdicchia. And then Dan Severin at a minute 39 in a great fight. The ref stopping the contest after a choke by Dan Severin as Dan advanced to the semis. And then in the semifinals, it was David Beneteau at 2:13 when his opponent, Todd Medina, tapped out. Then Dan the Beast Severin at 4:25 knocked off Oleg Takhtarov after the referee stopped that bout. So that's where we are right now following the super fight, which ended in a draw between two great competitors, Royce Gracie and Ken Shamrock. Well, right now let's bring out our first fighter for the Ultimate Fighting Championship 5, David Beneteau. He hails from Ontario, 27 years of age. Choked out only once during his judo career. Likes to incorporate whatever he can. Used to train at the Windsor Boxing Club and has for the past couple of years. President of his local union of members for the city of Windsor, Ontario. He sits on its bargaining team for contract negotiations for the entire province. We're talking about 98,000 members. So he's a paramedic for the city of Windsor. He's a guy who negotiates, and he negotiates in the ring as well.
He's shown himself to be one tough fighter, ability to punch, some boxing background as well.
And we asked Dave Beneteau what it would be like to compete in the finals.
I made it this far to the finals. I got my country behind me. I'm not going to let you guys down.
Well, he's representing Canada, a black belt in judo. 4-time Canadian Amateur Wrestling Association champion. 2 wins tonight, 1 as an alternate, 1 in the semifinals. And here comes Daniel Severin, who, as Jim mentioned, has turned into a totally different character, the Beast. Started wrestling in junior high school, won his first national title in his 3rd year of camp. A college scholarship, 25 years of amateur experience in everything from Greco-Roman wrestling to judo to sambo to kickboxing to the tough man. Competes every other month in Japan as a shoot fighter. He's fought in all the Eastern Bloc countries. Greco-Roman, sambo, freestyle, shoot fighting style. Dan Severin talking about reaching the finals.
I'm in the finals for the 2nd time. This time I plan on making no mistakes. When that fence shuts, the deadbolt slams shut, my opponent will wish he had never stepped into the octagon.
And here is the tail of the tape for this championship of the UFC. Beneteau, judo wrestling. Severin, Greco-Roman wrestling. Severin, 9 years the senior of Beneteau. Beneteau 6'2", so is Dan Severin. Pretty close in weight, 2-pound differential. Beneteau from Ontario, Severin from Michigan. Severin representing the U.S. tonight. Shortly, he will be taking on a man from Canada. Earlier, he took on a guy from Russia. Ron Jeremy will introduce the fighters in our championship.
Ladies and gentlemen, this will be the final match of the evening to decide the Ultimate Fighting Championship 5. In the blue corner, an alternate on the 1988 Canadian Olympic Wrestling Team, a 4-time CAWA Canadian Wrestling Champion, 3-time OJA Provincial Judo Champion, 27 years old. He stands at 6 feet, 2 inches and weighs in at 258 pounds. From the Great White North of Ontario, Canada, David Beneteau. And in the red corner, a man with over 70 national and international titles in Sambo, freestyle, and Greco-Roman wrestling. The National Wrestling Alliance Heavyweight Champion, 36 years old, 6 feet, 2 inches tall, 260 pounds from Coldwater, Michigan, Daniel Severn.
Dan Severn, David Beneteau.
I believe Beneteau has had his way with both his previous fights. He's able to shoot a double leg, take him down, get into the mounted position, and rain blows down to the head. It's going to be a lot more difficult to do that to Severn.
Yes, it will. Back in that corner.
Beneteau in the tights, the lower tights, Severn in the Speedo shorts. 30-minute time limit for the UFC 5 title at $50,000. $50,000 to the winner, $10,000 to the runner-up.
Well, they're too close to really throw punches effectively, and Severn just wants to get in close enough and beat Beneteau at grappling. Then he'll start to think about throwing punches. This will be hard for Severn. Beneteau is big and strong and does have enough wrestling background to understand what Severn's trying to do.
Jeff, this is essentially grappling on your feet, wouldn't you say?
Right now, that's all it's going to be, and you'll see Beneteau try to give ground rather than give Severn an opportunity.
Beneteau has landed 2 or 3 punches thus far.
Very strong.
And there you see how difficult it'll be to take Severn's legs out from under him. Severn, a master at wrestling.
And Beneteau with lots of experience in wrestling as well. Simon Fraser University in Burnaby, British Columbia is where he learned his trade.
Severn needs to be careful. There's, I was waiting when he was going to come in with a knee. But he needs to be careful with his head down like that. If Beneteau can get a clean uppercut, he could really hurt Severn.
Well, Beneteau misses. It was a big right. He loaded up on it. It did not score.
And this is very fatiguing. The fatigue tactic can be a major part of this fight.
And they're spending a lot of energy here, tying up with each other.
And look at him hanging on to the fence right now.
Well, that's what's keeping Beneteau up right now, is the fence. Severn needs to work him around, what we say, turn him to the center. Once there, then he has an opportunity to go ahead and knock him down.
Those are 5-foot walls on the octagon. It's 32 feet across, 750 square foot space, lock gate, tight canvas, skin-thin pad. They stay on their feet.
Severn could actually step on Beneteau's left foot, and by planting his weight on that, keep him from blocking a left knee directly into the midsection or groin.
So the grappling continues, but on the feet. And again, Severn leaning, trying to get the leg. He got the leg of Beneteau. And immediately goes to work, punching the head. He wore Beneteau down for a couple of minutes on his feet.
He's in a good position as far as not being able to get hit with anything powerful, but Severn can't really get a punch off because he's across the body. His arms are too far. Oh, he got him in a submission. He got him in a submission.
UFC 5, after losing in the finals of UFC 4, he came back as a beast, and he won the title. And now the celebration begins.
Submission.
Wow. Once he got Beneteau to the ground, the submission was quick, Jim.
That's what I want to learn. Submission move.
3 minutes exactly. And Dan Severn has won the championship. He'll get the 24-karat gold belt. And his manager, Phyllis Lee, leading the celebration as he hoists that belt. He was calm and collected the first time he came into the UFC. Different guy, huh, Jim?
Different guy. He's a beast now. He's an animal.
Got such strength. Now when he gets his opponent on the canvas, he feels like he can win it all now because he's worked on those techniques to terminate the fight.
You can see it. I didn't even see it.
Dave Beneteau snuck into the finals. Nobody expected to get there. Certainly, Jim, nothing to be ashamed of.
Very strong kid.
Yeah, very strong.
A lot of strength.
There's the big check, $50,000. And it's signed to Dan Severn.
A lot of work for $50,000.
Art Davey writing in the name. Dan Severn on that huge check for $50,000, and there's the belt. The victory belt that comes with winning the UFC, and he wins UFC 5 pretty quickly after that long draw in the super fight.
A lot of pride in this man. He's not worried about the 50. He did what he wanted to do.
Absolutely. The more important thing was the victory, more than the belt, more than the money. He had trained only 50 days before UFC 4. He met the master, Royce Gracie, ended up second best. He went back and trained for several months this time, over 90 days, and he comes away with the title. Hey, UFC 6 is coming up. That'll be on July 14th. And don't forget, that's on pay-per-view, another exciting UFC competition. Another look at Dan Severn, who comes away with the UFC 5 main draw championship and earns the $50,000. There he is with his own belt and the UFC 24-karat gold belt. He carries the American flag proudly. He knocked off fighters from 2 other countries this evening. And Dan Severn was on a mission. And Dan Severn accomplished that mission in Charlotte, North Carolina. So many thanks to everyone at Semaphore Entertainment Group, to all of our crew ringside, to our production and technical staff who have made this all possible. For Jeff Blatnick and Jim Brown, I'm Bruce Beck. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and so long from Independence Arena in Charlotte, North Carolina.